Hello, everyone. Brand Innovators, thank you for having me here today. I am going to give a quick 10-minute presentation on media buying and mobile gaming and best practices. So let's start at the beginning. Mobile gaming is extremely mainstream. There's around 2.3 billion global mobile gamers. In the US, there's around 210 million, and this is a very engaged audience. Half of them are playing daily. They're also spending a lot of their entertainment dollars in mobile games. We saw in Q1 of this year, $22 billion generated in in-app purchases in mobile games. And it's a really big business. It makes up around half of the market share of the overall gaming category. And of course, during COVID, there was an acceleration of many different entertainment categories. Streaming and gaming really benefited with people at home and connecting with each other through games. But what we've seen in our most latest revenue numbers, and the analysts from Sensor Tower, what this is a report from Sensor Tower about the in-app purchases, what they're seeing is that the acceleration in mobile gaming that we saw during COVID is sustained the growth and is still continuing to grow. So the foreseeable future is that the momentum will continue in this category. So what platform are gamers using? There's PC gamers, there's console gamers, and there's mobile gamers. And their single platform like gamer is actually pretty rare. Most of them play multiple, at least two different game platforms, and 85% are mobile gamers. So the biggest amount of gamers are playing mobile. It's the one thing that is most in common and the most common platform for gamers. And who is this person who's spending all this money and playing all these different platforms? Well, there's a very lasting stereotype of the gamer being the dude in the basement, but it couldn't be further from the truth. There is literally a game for everyone. And I don't have a specific audience slide in terms of percentages because it would be very difficult to say overall, because there are some games that skew super young, some that skew old, and some that even are a bridge where, for example, we're seeing a lot of parents play with their kids on mobile games. Interestingly enough, just last week, Deloitte released their most recent media trends report. And what it showed was that Gen Z, their number one entertainment activity is playing games. And number 5 is movies and TV. So their 5th favorite, I think that's pretty surprising. Obviously, with like boomers, it's literally the exact opposite. And I know there's a lot of stuff on this graph, but essentially what it's showing is that the younger the generation goes, the more that they're gaming. And of course, for a lot of us Gen Xers, we know that we started with Atari and we've just kept on going. In terms of the United States, these are the numbers from ComScore in terms of the top 5 mobile game companies in reach. Zynga, which I work for, I run ad sales for Zynga. Activision, which has Candy Crush. Among Us, which your kids might be playing, there's no ads in that game. Electronic Arts, and Pokemon Go. So the IAB UK just came out with a mobile gaming guide, and I stole this from that because I think that they have a really great way of explaining how to get involved in mobile gaming for brands. And they break it down into 3 categories. There's in the game, there's around the game, and there's away from the game. In the game is more integrations, sponsorships, where you're really part of gameplay, and it's not the ad in between levels, but it's actually in the story and in the game mechanic. Around the game are commercial breaks, basically in games where you see a video ad or a playable or a display ad. And then away from the game, there's quite a lot of exciting kind of PR, buzzworthy promotions that we're seeing in mobile games right now as well. So I'm going to go over each of these for you to get a taste for what they all have. So here's an example of an in the game sponsorship. So in this case, you've got Boss Baby, and they're playing a game, and you can play basically against Boss Baby characters from the films and from the animated franchise. So you can see that it's kind of true to the personality of the character. So, Tim, it's really easy to play against him. And then Mom is pretty easy, but Dad gets harder. And of course, Boss Baby, being the smartest, person in the room, is the most difficult to beat. So with this type of integration, what we see, and this is an example from the stats from one of Zynga's integrations like this, is that we're seeing around 2 million players, unique players, engage with this type of sponsorship, and around 600,000 finish it. So this is a really deep sponsorship that goes, across a few weeks where you're beating the levels, and that's a pretty good completion rate, I would say, for the engagement. So next we have media, and mobile game media is available private programmatically on managed services, direct IO campaigns. So it's pretty flexible, I would say. Some gaming is very bespoke, like the sponsorships I just showed you, but this type of gaming is really easy to be scaled programmatically. So the ads appear in between levels, like a commercial break. It's like a mid-roll, basically. And then some games do offer rewarded video and playables, which we'll look at in just a second. So first is the in-game video. Um, the best kept secret, I believe, in digital right now, in terms of video availability, is in mobile games. So a lot of people think, oh, video is really just in video streaming platforms, but that's not true at all. Games has a lot of high quality, full screen video. It looks like the video in Snapchat. Best practice, honestly, is 6 seconds, but I know a lot of us love our longer commercials. So 15 seconds and even up to 30 seconds when it's skippable is a format that you can use in this. I just want to point out that the way this is categorized by the IAB and by Google is, I think Google categorizes it as outstream, and IAB Google as interstitial. But there's other ad units that are also categorized in those buckets that I don't think are similar to this. For example, when you're in an article and you click to a next article and you see like an outstream ad that kind of feels like a pop-up, I point this out because I think that the reason why it's not more widely adopted is because people are used to video and streaming platforms or large format players or things like that, that programmatically might not be finding this source of inventory. So, but what it really is like a 320 by 480 that's resized to bigger phones ad unit. I definitely also recommend that every media buyer make sure that you're producing this size 320 by 480 because it is a key size in mobile gaming. Rewarded, to cover it. So 2 in 3 players prefer rewarded video because it's opt-in and brands are giving the consumer an opportunity to get ahead in the game by watching their ad. In fact, just this morning, I believe an article popped up on my feed about how like hardcore gamers, 70% of hardcore gamers really prefer and actually like rewarded ads. So this is something that I'm seeing more and more adopted by brands. The recall is really high, the intent to purchase is higher, and it's a great overall product. And this ad tends to appear when you need more gas in a game, for example, or you need more coins to continue. Here's a case study that we did with Microsoft. We saw an increase in lift, recall. Another best practice was doing first impression takeovers, which is the first ad per user per day in mobile. Those also significantly lift in recall and awareness. This is an example of a playable as well. It's the native unit in mobile gaming. It's highly engaging because it's a 15 to 30 second game where we're making your brand a game and there's a two-way kind of thing happening with the consumer. And then lastly, around the game. So here's an example that drove 10 million media impressions on local news, where we integrated a new word into Words with Friends for Dolly Parton, songteller. Obviously, we all know storyteller. So this was a new word. She's a songteller, and it generated a lot of media. So here is one example of many that we see. Other examples, Little Nas X did a concert in Roblox. These types of things, though, generate a ton of press and a ton of activity even outside the app itself. So that's pretty much all. I kind of sped through it because I only had 10 minutes with you guys today, and there's a lot to talk about and a lot to cover. So if you have any more questions, please reach out to me. I'm at gheyman@zynga.com. Again, I run ad sales for Zynga, and it's been great to be here with you today. Thanks for having me, and enjoy the rest of the sessions.